Let's turn our attention to the Middle East, where fighting has resumed. Hamas, as we know, refuses to release the remaining hostages. There are still more than 50 of them being held in captivity, and Israeli officials believe at least 24 of them are alive. Despite all the warnings, Hamas refuses to release the remaining people they are holding captive. This week, Israel lost its patience and launched an attack against the terror group, which killed more than 400 people. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that these strikes were only the beginning. Joining us now is Michael Shoebridge, Strategic Analyst Australia Director. Thank you so much for your time. Look, no one wants to see fighting resumed. How long could this be going on for now? And also, what options are there for Hamas?
Well, Gabrielle, there aren't many options for Hamas because Hamas will not agree to what the Israeli government demands. So the Israeli government quite rightly wants all hostages, alive and dead, released, but it also wants Hamas to have no role governing Gaza. And Hamas will not accept that. So we're seeing Israeli ground forces back in Gaza and in that corridor cutting Gaza in half.
Yeah, and it's terrible scenes. No one wants to see this. Israeli officials say that Israel will be able to hit even harder due to the support from US President Donald Trump. Are we going to see this play out?
I think we're going to see the war continue because you're quite right. With the backing of the new Trump administration, Joe Biden was a bit of a restraining hand on Netanyahu, but he didn't have a whole lot of leverage over him. But Trump has given full backing to the Israeli government to do whatever they want to do. And right now, Netanyahu wants to have a second go at killing all Hamas leaders. The problem is when you kill Hamas leaders, new ones climb out of the rubble.
That is absolutely the issue, and Israel has every right to defend itself and fight to get those hostages back. Although Hamas refuses to release the hostages, Israel's military action has sparked anti-Israel protests. This is the vision that has captured our attention, of protesters waving the Hamas flag outside of the White House.
Our position in the Imperial Court grants us immense privilege to escalate against the Zionist entity and its locked doors. Any repercussion we may face pale in comparison to resisting a genocide.
Allahu Akbar.
Nice to meet you.
سمع الله لمن حمده. Allahu Akbar.
Should we have concerns, I suppose, about more unrest in parts of the world as this war continues?
Well, I don't think we've seen any end to the pro-Palestinian movements in many countries, including here in Australia. But I think that's going to harden the Trump administration's resolve to back Israel. So I don't think they're doing the people in Gaza any favours with that kind of protest in Washington. I just do not see that Gaza and Israel are at any point where they're going to negotiate an end to the war. So there'll have to be more fighting before they both come to that point.
Let's talk about Ukraine. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin have agreed to a limited 30-day ceasefire on attacking energy infrastructure. Trump and Putin spoke for more than 2 hours, and the leaders agreed on a move to peace. What's your assessment of this development?
Well, I don't think this is the leaders agreeing on a move to peace. I think Donald Trump came out with the smallest possible thing from Putin that stopped him from being chronically embarrassed. So this is not a ceasefire. This may not even be what Putin has promised. He said that he won't attack energy infrastructure. Donald Trump's version is Putin said he wouldn't attack energy and critical infrastructure. They're two different things. Putin doesn't want to end the war unless he's handed Ukraine wrapped up like a gift. So this process is not leading to peace at the moment. It's just giving Putin an opportunity to demand more. What I think Donald Trump needs to do is put some of the pressure he's put on Ukraine onto Russia.
Do you give him any credit for engaging with Putin?
No, I don't. It's easy to engage with someone if you want to accept all of their demands uncritically and foist them on the partner you've been supporting. And that really is the net assessment of what Donald Trump has been doing to now. I think now he's starting to realise maybe Vladimir Putin isn't this friend with a shared bond, as he's asserted, and maybe Ukraine is not the impediment to peace.
Okay, well, look, it may be a long road ahead, but I have some comfort that there are at least discussions underway. Let's talk about an incident in Serbia. Footage has emerged showing what appears to be a military-grade sonic cannon being used to disperse protesters in Serbia. Now, it's claimed that riot police deployed the weapon to demonstrators who'd gathered in Belgrade to stage a massive protest against government corruption. Let's take a look. Now, Serbia's president has denied that the crowd control device was deployed, saying that it is a wicked lie. I mean, what do you make of all of this?
Well, there is some footage of the Serbian police with something that looks very like a long-range acoustic device, an LRAD as it's called. Those things can be used to communicate with protesters, but they can also be used to try and disperse protesters. So the denials seem not to be backed up by imagery that shows they had a device like that. But the bigger issue, of course, is the Serbian protests have been going since November, and the Serbian president has now dismissed his government and having to form a new government because of the unrest.
Michael Shoebridge, Strategic Analyst, Australia Director, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Really appreciate all your insight and analysis.
Thanks, Gabriella.